Welcome to SR Studio. We thank you for joining us. Can we have a bit introduction from you?
Thank you. I am Peter Clever Oparah. I'm a writer and a public opinion analyst.
Okay. So recently, the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, was heard to have said that he and his group are going to boycott the elections at Anambra State coming November 18th. What are your reactions to that?
The thing is that Nnamdi Kanu is speaking as an individual. He may represent a group, but his group is not even a legal entity in Nigeria. He cannot decree the boycott of any election, any duly organized or any duly accredited election. It's part of the madness which we have been having in Nigeria in recent, and I will not fail to trace this madness to the outcome of the 2015 election. I know what I'm saying, because when you look at the kind of hate messages, the kind of altercations between one group or the other that have been coming and that have reached a boiling point at present, they had their root firmly in the 2015 election. Because before 2015, we are not having things like this before. Definitely there were agitations, you know, for one thing or the other. There have been agitations, and there should be agitations in a healthy entity like Nigeria. It had been there, but after the 2015 election, we now started hearing about Nnamdi Kanu. Otherwise, nobody in Nigeria was hearing about the character called Nnamdi Kanu. He might have been existing somewhere. He might have been doing certain things elsewhere. But immediately after that 2015, he came out very visibly with tones that are violent, with tones that we are talking of separation, breaking, destroying the zoo, and whatever. So for him now to have now said that elections, you know, that had been programmed in the system will not tell. That's utter rubbish. One is that he has no capacity to enforce that kind of statement.
So, sir, imagine the crowd that celebrates or attends a normal, average Biafran protest.
Yeah.
There are lots of them. They always come in large numbers.
Yeah.
So imagine that crowd uses that numerical strength to recall a corrupt politician, to recall a non-performing leader or a senator. What I'm driving at now is that why is it that the IPOB does not see this approach as an alternative lead? Why is the Southeast not recalling non-performing senators or holding their leaders accountable?
You see, if you really go back to what I said before, that these agitations we are having now, we are the outcomes of the 2015 election, you will understand why they will not do that. One is that most of the non-performing legislators or governors or government officials, or those that just left government the other day, are backers of IPOB. That is one thing you must understand. IPOB did not just happen. As I said, it came about after the 2015 electoral loss. And there were so many hidden backers who we are propping them up. You can find them amongst these kind of people you say should be recalled. They are done with them. They cannot initiate their recall. And secondly, they are, you know, saying that they are not part of Nigeria, in which they don't believe in the Nigerian legislative system and whatsoever. Although the statement itself, the entire thing is fraught with so many inconsistencies. But if we take them off from that, they say they don't believe in Nigeria. In other words, they don't believe in the legislative process. But don't fail to realize that most of the people you feel should be recalled, who had not represented the people well, who have failed the people of the Southeast, who have even caused and deepened this issue of marginalization that has become a very common word, we are the people that are backing IPOB. So they cannot effectively, you remember very well, when he was released, there were so many legislators, you know, from the National Assembly that accompanied him, that went there. Some have visited him in prison. Can he, in all honesty, if he has the means to do that, initiate recall processes on them. But let's watch. Why I say let's watch is that these contradictions will play out one day, and definitely there will be a sort of clash somehow that may now prompt them to be reasonable. One is you get reasonable in your demand before you can even realize that you are not being well represented, or that even the person that is propping you, the person that is backing you, the person that has been pushing you on is one of these people who had not represented the people well, either in the legislature or in the past executives. That's in terms of public office holders. So there is no way Nnamdi Kanu, with his own inchoate demands, his inchoate ultimatums and whatever, can even get to the point where he will go against these people who have been backing him one way or the other.
Talking about recalls, for the first time in the history of this country, Nigeria would be witnessing the recall of a senator, the name of Dino Melaye. You are from Imo State, from Ayazumbi State to be precise. Do you feel there are senators representing constituencies in your state that should be recalled?
Actually, I may not even know the name of the person representing me in the Senate or even in the House of Representatives. That shows you that definitely I don't feel well represented in the Senate or in the House of Representatives or in the National Assembly. Let us use a generic word. But then what you must understand is that I feel underrepresented. A lot of people also feel underrepresented. And what happens when you are underrepresented? You call back whoever is representing you. One, note very well, if you are from that part of the country, or if you observe the electoral process in that part of the country, there was no election during the National Assembly election. What they just did was that they used all the muscle to return all PDP candidates. That was how whoever is representing me there now emerged. But now with the window now being thrown in the recall process of Dino Melaye, but let me just take you back a bit. Why recall had not been working before now, and why legislators sort of ridicule the people, believing that nobody can call them back. Why it hasn't been so is that there was a demand in the recall provision in the Constitution that more than half of the registered voters, not even the people that voted you, the registered voters in any constituency must sign to ask, to request for your recall before it could be effectively implemented. That has been the, I can say, the bottleneck that have been holding most of these legislators from being recalled in the past. But now we are seeing in the Dino Melaye case, the constituents, and I think the figure was about 188,000 out of 360,000 registered voters have signed that. They have crossed that threshold now. That now gives a glimmer of hope that this is achievable. And for people now to wait on the wings to seize that opportunity to recall their erring legislators, you know. So what we are witnessing now is like a revolution, because if the Dino Melaye thing pushes through, you find out that most of these legislators will be recalled because people feel that they had not well represented them. But then in that feeling, you have the, can say, powerlessness of, you know, exploiting the constitutional provision to call these people back. So as to whoever is representing me, as I say, I cannot, I don't even know, I will not even place anything tangible. I have even, as observant as I am of national issues, I have not seen them moving groundbreaking motions for the peace and progress of Nigeria, or even for my own personal interest. You know, so by the time Dino Melaye is recalled, it will be very easy for people to now see the need to use that provisional, that's the constitutional provision, to recall most of their erring legislators.
Looking at how the budget, the national budget, has run its course for the 2017, and the too many infiltrations of the legislative, do you think that the legislative has the constitutional power to unilaterally alternate the budget?
Thank you for that question. That is because if we watch in recent time, there have been so much controversies over who has the power to budget, you know. But my own understanding of the budget process. I was the speaker of the University of Lagos Student House of Representatives. By the time Showore was the president. And there, you can get high quality representation in terms of students that know the issue, that can track issues, that can really follow issues, unlike what we have in the National Assembly as at present. Now, within that finest legislative experiment, you know that the legislature, that's the House, is there to work on the proposals laid down by the executives. So they limit themselves to the proposals laid down by the executives and not to bring fresh proposals, because there is power of proposing and the power of approval. The legislature is just there to approve. And approving may mean inquesting into the cost. Maybe you put this house that we are going to acquire a house, the federal government is going to acquire a house at 10 million naira. And after proper valuation, you now find out it's 8 million naira. It's now for the legislator to reduce it to 8 million naira. And not to now bring, we are going to acquire another house. That is not their function. It is not the function of the legislator to propose budget. It's the function of the executives to propose budget. And if they understand it, you know, I've watched quite a lot of people come on who have interest. You know, in this kind of debate, there should be interest either ways. But most often, I've watched most of the people who may have interest one way or the other speak on this issue. And they will now tell you, the Constitution gives the legislator the power of appropriation. What is appropriation? I think appropriation has to do with setting out money for certain things. And the appropriation, listen, we understand is that power of appropriation is for the legislature to work on what the executives proposes. Now, legislators insert roads into budgets. Who does the study for that road before bringing it as an item in the budget? So the legislature should limit itself to what the executive proposes. Work out the details, work out the costs, and find out whether it aligns with the monetary value attached to it. And either they may slightly increase, not that they cannot increase, either increase or decrease the cost to arrive at a proper cost, and not for them to initiate new budget hits. If the Constitution grants them power to propose and approve, why would you think that the Constitution now says that the executives will prepare? Let it be that each year the legislature will propose and approve and throw at the executives. But that's not the intent of the legislature. I think at the back of that altercation is the corruptive tendencies that have made budgets not to work in the past. Before this regime came in place, what used to happen is that yearly budgets, the executives and the legislature sit down, share out the projects among themselves. The legislators will say, I will be doing this, this is my constituency, I will be doing that. At the end of the day, they will not be the people that will execute, they will be the people that will indirectly execute that project. And at the end of the day, they will not execute projects, they will appropriate the money. So that is why that squabble is existing. Otherwise, if the legislator understands it, if you have any project of interest, what you do is that you approach the executive at the level of preparation of the budget and say, see, please, I have this road, and the executive will evaluate it and find out the importance or the critical nature of that project to the overall interest of the nation, and either add it in the budget or not add it. It's not for you at the level where you are supposed to approve. You are now initiating new projects, like the Minister of Works, Baratunde Fashola said. He said that the budgets for Ministry of Works was slight. Most of the critical projects that drive the infrastructural needs of the country were drastically reduced. While newer projects, even those that have no bearing with his ministry, were inserted. Like he said, motorized borehole, street lights, clinic, and whatever. You will now understand that with that mindset, which the legislator is trying to enforce into the budgeting system, you now understand why Nigeria will not make any progress in terms of executing budgets. Because at the end of the day, practical thing is that what happens is that with all those illegal insertions, or all those insertions, what the executive does is to get the budget, work towards the projects they propose, and leave those other projects. But most often, you see that the project they propose will be implemented up to half or a fraction, not fully implemented, because enough monetary provisions for the implementation of those budgets were not approved at the legislative level. So, in a nutshell, what is there is that the executive proposes, the legislator approves, and that makes the budget system. It's not for the legislator to propose and approve. It is illegal.